Hello, everyone. I am very happy to see you all here on this session. And I'm very pleased that you have all stuck around and have really advanced wonderfully with the workshop's very intense program. I hope that the session today will not be the thing that scares you off of these things, working with the digital inscriptions, but just as a caveat, I'd like to let you know that the things I will be showing you are just for demonstration for the moment. I won't be expecting you to follow along. If you want to follow along, you are welcome to, of course, but since there is hopefully detailed documentation about everything, and you'll have some time for hands-on session in the afternoon, and this will not be the primary visualization tool that you'll be using anyways. Don't feel compelled now to follow along and get stressed if you fall behind. So just relax, take a deep breath, and let's dive into EFES together. I don't have a presentation per se for you. I'll just be sharing my screen and I'll take you on a little tour around the documentation that is existing for EFES, and we'll try to start it up together, and we'll even try to visualize one of your inscriptions in it. And while I'll fiddle with the sharing, I would just like to ask you to let me know if I talk a little bit too fast, too quickly, or if something that I said doesn't make much sense and you'd like me to elaborate more on it. Just feel free to interrupt me whenever you want to. So EFES, or EpiDoc Front End Services, which is what stands behind this abbreviation, is, as Dragana said, put it wonderfully during our discussion before the session started, is a dream come true for epigraphers, or at least the first attempt for a wonderful dream to come true, which is that after epigraphers have decided to put their database online, to have things open access, to share their work with the world and collaborate with different projects, and they have adopted the EpiDoc ways, and they spend maybe a full week on a workshop learning how to code, or maybe they go to multiple workshops and feel really confident in their skills. They are met with the problem of what to do next when they have this encoded database with these endless XML files, how to visualize them, how to share them with the world. And until a few years ago, the way to do that was to basically contact your university's ITs or entire computer departments and ask them to host that for you or to help you with that. And this is great. And this is how you get wonderful things such as the inscriptions of the Northern Black Sea project, which I'm sure you're all aware of, or the inscriptions of Greek Cyrenaica, which are wonderful projects curated by a team of epigraphers and a team of programmers alongside with them. But this, unfortunately, is not accessible to every epigrapher there is, and especially in the early stages of our work with the document, it is quite challenging not being able to see what you're actually doing. I'm sure all of you can by now read through XML as if it's plain text, but still we have to admit that at some point the angle in being able to understand what it says. So this is where EFES came along. It is a platform that has been designed by some people from the EpiDoc community, by the larger EpiDoc community, thanks to a project led by Gabriel Budar back in 2017. So there are some years behind it already. The active development of EFES has been done in 2017, but it has been continuously improved upon by the entire EpiDoc community and by many projects who have decided to incorporate it in their workflow. And this is actually something that is already embedded in the idea behind EFES, that it is community-driven and it has been created in order to reflect the needs of the EpiDoc community. So at the very start of the project, if I may give you some boring history, but as I was there, as it was created, you have to excuse my sentimental sidetrack. There have been multiple iterative conversations with the epigraphers about their needs and what they would like to have in their editions, and how much they would like to be involved in actually shaping the way the edition is displayed online, and how much they would like to have things just straight out of the box for them. And as a result, EFES was born as a specification of a prior existing tool, which was used for some of these great epigraphy projects that I mentioned, like IOSPE and IGSire and the inscriptions of Roman Tripolitania and so forth, which have all been hosted by these big IT departments. So the goal of EFES was to take these very useful functionalities of that existing software called Kiln, and make it so that an epigrapher who has basic knowledge of EpiDoc, who is comfortable enough with EpiDoc and has some basic knowledge in programming, or even without such knowledge, could make use of these functionalities on their own for the stage of managing their database and coding their database, but also as a publishing tool. And in 2017, one of the developers of that pre-existing software, Jamie Norrish, was contacted and asked to build EFES. And I was on the side of the epigraphers trying to relay the needs of the epigraphic community so that then Jamie could incorporate them in this platform. And this wonderful dream that we had back then, that it will be something that any epigrapher with the basic knowledge of XML could work with, might have fallen short in some ways, because through the multiple workshops that we have conducted over the years, there haven't been many people who have come to us at the end of the workshops and said, we got it all working and fine, and now we know how to work with this independently. But this is also not its idea. There is, as I said, a robust community working behind it that you can contact and ask advice from. But in the end, it turns out that some support from a programmer might also come handy, at the publishing stage at least. But for working with your documents, for visualizing them, and maintaining your database, EFES as it is at the moment is a pretty nifty tool, if I may say so. I'm currently sharing the GitHub page where EFES is hosted. This is the home of the code and also of the user guide. And this user guide is going to undergo quite the makeover soon, hopefully, as we are hoping to make it more accessible to users. And we also would like to improve by adding some of the new functionalities that have been introduced in EFES by the project that have been working with it. And one of our driving ideas behind that was that, unfortunately, earlier this year, Jamie, who was the main programmer, the main developer of EFES, sadly passed away. And so now we would like to do this in his memory, and so that his work may continue being useful to more and more people. So this is where you would go anyways in order to use EFES in its current state or in its revamped, glammed up version. This is where you would get the code if you'd like to try it. You have had the GitHub session already, so I just assume that you are fluent with using it. You would just either download it or clone it, depending on how comfortable you feel with it. I have already downloaded it on my machine, so as not to strain my internet connection even more. Just beware when you download it that you need to know where you're putting it. It's often that we download things from the web and we just stick them in whatever folder is the default one on our computers, but here you need to be very aware where you're putting it, because then we'll have to be accessing it from our command prompt or terminal window. So in my case, I have put it on my desktop. If you have it somewhere else when you download it, just take a note of where that is. And also keep in mind that you'll be, if you're downloading it, you'll be downloading a zipped folder, and the computer can't do much with a zipped folder. So the first thing we need to do if we want to use it is to unzip it. And in my case, when I unzip it, it's called EFES master, and this is how I will be referencing it from now on whenever I want to access it from my computer. But now that we have it, I can show you a rather scary image of what EFES is. No, it's not that one. Wait, I had it open somewhere. Clearly not here. Oh, there it is. Okay. It took a while to load the image. So EFES is not really a front-end service as it is called, because a lot of the work that we as users have to do is done actually with the XML in the engine room. But it consists of two major components that we'll be working with. One is the folder that we just downloaded on our computer, or that I just, and you will in a minute, which is just a set of folders with various content inside. It looks very much like an HTML site that you would download, and then you have various components divided in various folders. And the other bit that is part of it is in the browser. So you will be interacting with EFES through your file navigator and through your browser. What browser that is, I would recommend sticking with Google Chrome, just so we don't mess things up, because I know there have been some problems with the other browsers, but since I haven't tried it myself in a long time, I can't give you more info on that. So what EFES is in fact just a collection of various very powerful tools which are able to support this website of ours that will be visualizing our inscriptions. And the way we interact with it is by opening the different folders that are on our machine, by deploying a server through our command line or terminal. I'll show you in a minute how to do that. It's not complicated, don't worry. And by clicking around on a nice web page. That's it. If you want to do some development of EFES, if you want to change the way your edition looks, or you want to add some new functionalities, then you would have to do some XSLT, but it is not necessary from the get-go to know how to do that. So in order to start EFES, we need to start the server that will be carrying EFES on our local machine. None of this is visible to anyone until you publish it very much later in your work. So you can do anything your heart desires and not be afraid that you're breaking anything, or that some of your unfinished work will become public. So what I recommend you doing is going to that user guide page that I have linked in your program. Yourself with the user guide, because everything that you need to know is written there. So we have the quick start. We also have installing EFES for the first time, and we're going to follow that. And we have various pages on how to display your documents, how to manipulate the way the edition looks like, and stuff like that. So I don't know whether our crowd here has predominantly PC or Mac. I'll be showing how to do it on a Mac, but you have the documentation here for a PC as well, so worry not. first thing you need to do after you have downloaded and unzipped, or you have cloned the EFES code on your computer, is to access your command line or your terminal. And there are instructions how to do that. Don't worry, you'll find it. And depending on whether you're a PC or a Mac user, there are different commands that you need to input. So if you're a Windows user, you would be typing in, so you would be first going to where you downloaded your EFES. In my case, that's in the desktop, and it's called EFES master. If you put it in your downloads, then you have to navigate to your downloads folder or any other place. And if I were a PC user, a Windows PC user, I would now type in build.bat, but since I'm on Mac, I will be writing build.sh. That's the only difference. That and the direction of the slashes that bring you to this place. And now it's going to do something. It's going to think for a little bit, and we have to wait, especially if this is your first time installing EFES, it might take a little while. So it makes sense to wait, go have a cup of tea, call your mom, have something nice to distract you with, and not worry about it. Now, there will be some error message and warnings that will be spit out. Maybe on your machine, don't worry about them. Those are some system internal things that do not affect your work. They don't do anything on your computer. Nothing will break. And it says here, you need to wait for it to say at some point, development server is running at HTTP and then this string of numbers. And we need to copy this string of numbers and paste it. And probably the first time you try to do it, it will say that the page is not found if the server is still trying to build itself up and display EFES. But just keep refreshing, sip on your tea and relax until you see this. Welcome to EFES. So this is EFES. This and the files here in your computer, in your file navigator. So there is a little bit of a hurdle to be overcome in the beginning of using EFES, which is that you need to set up some of the components necessary for its function. But this is only done once, and when you do it, you don't need to bother with that ever again. So I'm going to show you how to do that very quickly so that you know it's not complicated, but I won't be lingering on it much. So what you need to do is you need to create a repository that will harvest information from your authority files. You already know about that. And you need to index the documents that you have on your computer. I'll make this a little bit bigger for you. So you do that by accessing the admin panel, all documented. Don't worry, don't write anything down. And by going to this Sesame component. Sesame is the old name of that RDF storage, RDF triple store, but it's still called like this now. It's RDF J4, I think, that it was renamed recently. So what we need to do here is to create a new repository, pick the third option, and give it an ID, Kiln. Its ID is Kiln because EFES was built on this prior software that was called Kiln. And then click Next, click Create, and that's it. You're done here. You can now go again to your home page, and it's actually very clever to have multiple tabs open and not having to retype the address again and again. So I'll learn from my mistakes. And when you're in the admin, you need to click on Harvest All. You wait for a short time, hopefully. You see that everything's green. You go back, and then you click the other big blue button, Index All, which is what will take the files that are pre-existing in EFES for demo purposes, and it will crawl through all of them. It will collect all the relevant information, and it will display it then for you so that you can familiarize yourself with its functions, at least in the beginning. So once we've done this, then again, I didn't use the other tab, so learn from me repeating my mistakes. You're here at your homepage. What you can do is you can already see some inscriptions that were preloaded there. You can see what they look like. So we have some from inscriptions of Greek Cyrenaica. We just click on them. They have been encoded in EpiDoc using the same tags that you have already practiced this week. And we see that out of the box, they have already an interpretive and a diplomatic edition that you can see on them. You can also see some indices that have been pre-made for EFES. And here the idea is that you can use these indices as a starting point on which you can build your own indices if you would like to have something that is not already there. So you just copy an existing document and you change it accordingly. So let's see an index, for example, of personal names. We see a name, Apollon, for example, has been found on 2 stones, on 2 epigraphic monuments, but as we know, since it's in a square bracket, that means that partially it was restored. It's not actually there, as Ekaterini, for example, which is fully present on the stone somewhere over here. And then we see Apollon, that is probably somewhere in a lacuna. Yeah, there it is. It has been restored by the editor. So all of that, I haven't done any manipulation on EFES. The only thing I have done is download it, create that RDF repository following the steps that I have on the side here, and harvesting and indexing. And this is what I can see already, which is pretty nice. So just for visualizing your documents, this is enough. That's all you need to know. You need to know how to start EFES. And you need to know where to put your documents. So I'm going to show this to you now. So at the beginning, it could be really daunting to see all these folders here that have these scary names and you don't know what lives where. But again, everything is very thoroughly described in the user guide. For example, how to run EFES with your own XML. It tells you here things about indexing and harvesting, which I showed you. So what you need to know is how to access the place that stores the XML documents. Very quickly, this is in Web App Roots, Content, XML, EpiDoc. And I haven't used EFES in many, many years now, but once you have done this 5 times, you already remember where everything is. So don't worry about that. If this can become very, very easy and very intuitive. This is the place that stores all these documents that we saw here in EFES on the inscriptions page. We see them displayed here, and their XMLs are actually here in that folder that I just brought you to. So if we want to see our document, we need to put it over here with the other ones. And I have been very kindly sent a document by Elena that she was working on. Let me just see if I remember where I put it. Somewhere on my machine, I think it was on the desktop, that we can now try to visualize together. So I'm just going to copy it from where I downloaded it and place it in this folder. And I'm very happy to see that it was named like this so that I can be reminded to give you important information. When you are naming your files, it's generally best practice not to leave any spaces in them because computers get very easily confused by spaces in names. So try to avoid them at all costs. Add hyphens or underscores or something. So in this case, I'm just going to dispense with this space. And maybe with, yeah, that's fine. Everything else is fine. So I have now from EFES, I will not see it yet because the computer does not know about it yet. It's just on my machine. The way to make the computer aware that this file has now entered the stage and I want it to crawl through it and collect all that important information that I have been encoding in it is to index it. So I couldn't see it over here, but I can see it here in the admin where the indexing is happening. Again, described in the user guide. Don't worry if you don't remember it. I can see it over here, and I can either index all documents again or just index that individual one. We want to see that the operation succeeded everywhere. And now if I reload the main inscription page, we have it. And we have everything that Elena has encoded in it. She can confirm, hopefully, that this is what she encoded and what she wanted to have displayed. And we already see the interpretive edition of the text that she encoded and the diplomatic edition out of the box. And we see some apparatus there, some translation. If you want to see photos in EFES of your inscriptions, that is also possible. Of course, there is image support. At the moment, though, I haven't been able to make it work on my machine. And since I haven't worked on the development of EFES in some time, I don't know whether this is a bug that is going on or it's just something local not working for me. So if you do end up trying EFES on your own, you can test and let me know. So what you would do if you want to try EFES, just to recapitulate, is download, run the server from your command prompt by reading the instructions in the user guide. Put your folder, well, harvest and index first everything, then put your folder, your inscription in the folder where other inscriptions live. Index that inscription again, and this is what you see. And this works with hopefully any file that has been encoded with the EpiDoc style sheets in mind, with the EpiDoc guidelines in mind. And if we want to change what we see here, we can also do some little tweaks on the style sheet that are being used for the transformation. So EpiDoc has multiple style sheets that have been developed by multiple projects that are reflecting their individual preferences on displaying lacunae, abbreviations, and stuff like that. So again, what do we do when we want to change anything on EFES? We go to the user guide that you have linked in the program. User guide. You never want to look at the technical documentation yet. Just the user related things. And then we see running EFES with your EpiDoc XML. We go there, we scroll through some information about the indexing, and we go to configuring EpiDoc XML display. So this is done through another file that lives on this batch of folders and files that you downloaded on your computer that you can open, and you can change different things inside. So in that case, it is a sitemap. It's just the format of the file that it is. And something that also I can let you know in order to save you some frustration is that sitemaps are just XML documents, but they are not recognized by Oxygen to be XML documents. So what you can do in this case, okay, go away, is to get to this sitemap that is listed in the guidelines and just drag and drop in Oxygen. This will make it realize that it's just an XML file that it's dealing with. And for me, it's around line 127. I'm certain that it should be like this for you as well, is where the EpiDoc related variables are. And these are the ones that can be changed. As this comment usefully tells us, you can see all the various supported values. So the things that you can actually supply here as content of these elements. That's not entirely true because we haven't updated that README in a long time. So there's some new values that you can also supply, but let's work with the ones that are already there. And for example, the default edition structure. So what we see here, where did I put it? Over here. This default edition structure is set to be sample. And if I want to see it as Jospe would have done it, for example, the inscriptions of Northern Black Sea, I just change the value here from sample to Jospe, and I reload the page. And now I see an edition that is structured very much like the edition of Jospe. Where is it? Here. Another thing I can do is, for example, change how I number my lines. So the default thing is that every 5th line is numbered. I can make it so that every line gets numbered by changing just that content of that element. And now we have this over here. So this is all nice and neat, but it requires you knowing only where things live and how to navigate this folder structure. For the more advanced stuff, you might also need to learn some XSLT, especially if you want to create your own edition structure. So if you're not happy with any of the editions that are provided, if your project has something that they want more, or even that they would like to contribute by feeding it back to the EpiDoc standards, that would be amazing. Then you might want to create your own edition. And for that, you need XSLT and maybe a programmer, or at least a buddy of yours that is comfortable programming so that you can call them and have them hold your hand while you do that. But in terms of visualizing and managing your documents, that's all you need to know. Where things are in the folders and how to start EFES. And this is actually part of what I think makes EFES still valuable as a visualizing tool, even if it requires some technical help then for the actual publishing of your results, is that it's not just a publishing tool. It's not just something that you use in order to then display your data to the world. It can be used at any stage of your work with your documents. So as we are encoding now, if I may go back to Elena's file, we can see whether we have encoded everything the way we want it to. So through the visualization, we can see whether all the abbreviations that we have marked are truthful to what we see in the actual edition that we are digitalizing, whether the metadata makes sense, and so on and so forth. So even at the beginning stage of preparing your edition, you can use EFES for that purpose. Then also for project management, I know that it is a great hassle. One of the great hassles in project is how to manage multiple people working on the same thing, or God forbid, multiple people working on multiple things that then need to be mashed together to create one coherent project. And in that sense, EFES, and especially if you use GitHub to facilitate version control, is wonderful because it keeps the various stages separate. So you have the encoding of the documents is done in one place, in one folder. The tweaking of the edition structure is done in another folder. Then the web look, the look of the site that you see here on your training sandbox site is done in another folder. And then when you're ready to publish, you can have someone who knows web design come and make it pretty for you. Or you can learn how to do it yourselves. I know multiple people have done that as well. So it's great that at no point you are dependent on someone else having finished their batch of work so that you can work on your own. Also, in terms of noticing patterns in the corpus that you're working with, sometimes it can be really daunting having to look through your XML files. If you have them displayed like this, and if you index them and you can already make use of the, oh, I see we have a name here. Should we see whether it has also indexed as a name? I don't see it, but it could be I am trying to wrap up so we can consult the guidelines for that. So when you are, to get back on my thought, when you are going through your files and you're probably trying to make a point, organizing them into different groups, trying to make sense how they would fit together in your edition finally, how you would distribute them in chapters and so forth. It's wonderful to have a tool like this that can already display and index your documents, and you can start seeing these patterns emerge in your file. So also on that stage of working in your projects, it can be useful. And finally, it is challenging to publish using EFES because you do need to know some more advanced things about hosting your project and web design and stuff like that. But there are projects that have used EFES already successfully and have deployed their results online. I can show you, for example, here, a project that has been built using EFES and that has been published with EFES as well. You see here that the structure of the site is much similar to the structure that we have here, even in our sandbox EFES over here on the home page. So where did I put that one? It is, in fact, with very little customization that you can get a pretty site like this. EpiDoc also has, for example, the Byzantine seals. Also have a site that has been built during EFES, and the EpiDoc project is really very active in feeding back their code to EFES and making it better. So this leads me to my final point. Even if it does seem challenging, there is a lot of support online that you can have. And this is actually, I think, the biggest strength of EFES, that is, it's community-driven and community-maintained. So if you want to use it, if you want to try it out, and you get stuck doing something, and the user guide, due to the faults of its creators, does not tell you what to do, and you would like to have some more information, there is actually help. There is this Google group, the EFES users Google group, that I will link in your program, where you can subscribe to using your email, and you can ask all sorts of questions. They don't have to be complex questions. They can be really simple. It might just be something that you have not been able to find in the user guide, and no one will judge you for it. But it is a robust community that is answering these questions, and even if you don't get answered within the same day, surely within a week someone will look at your individual problem and will try to come up with a solution. Having things being out there as open source, open access, and community-driven is something that EpiDoc really is built on in its foundation, in its core values. So in that sense, EFES hopefully reflects that. So as a walkthrough of EFES, I think this is the best I can do online and without being there to solve any potential computer woes that you might have. I know some potential issues starting EFES might be related to Java. EFES is a little picky when it comes to Java. It should work with the latest version, but sometimes you need to go back to a previous version of EFES. I think 7 and 8 are the stable ones. In any case, try it out. And if there is a problem and you still want to experience some work with EFES, we can try to work it out offline. And another issue that you might experience is that you get panicked because it is a little daunting to launch a server on your computer and to try to navigate through all these folders, and then to have to go and do some scary sounding things such as harvesting RDF triples and indexing files and so forth. This is a lot to take in at once. Usually we have full workshops on EFES for people who want to use it. But everything is documented. Nothing hangs on this. You will not break anything if you make an error on your own computer. And there is help to be had by many, many people who are very passionate about it and want to make it better. So if you'd like to give it a try, my advice is to go to that link that I left in the program, or I will leave in the program if I haven't yet. Oh, there it is. Download it, follow the steps that are really step-by-step described in the user guide. And then if anything is scary, do subscribe to that EFES Google group, and do write for help and support, because the community is only as strong as we maintain it, right? We need to be active and help each other with these things, so that we can all have reusable, reshareable, and openly accessible data. So that's all on my part. If you have any questions, I would be very happy to answer them if I can.
Thank you, Polina. This was really, really dynamic, and I think very informative. So if anybody wants to ask something, this would be the perfect time.
I can just agree that was excellent explained, and I just already managed to visualize that.
Oh, that is fantastic to hear.
All the steps, yeah. I succeed.
Did you manage to see your own document visualized there?
But I was not able to participate yesterday. I just copied the file of Professor Jukeska, and I visualized that one. I can share the screen.
Sure, that would be lovely. Let's see what it looks like. I'll stop sharing over here.
Just 1 second.
Wow, that's so cool.
Yeah, thank you.
Well, you can try with other people's files as well. This would be also a nice way to check each other's documents and help each other if things aren't clear on some bits, because I know it's a very well-structured workshop. I am really amazed how much information you have been able to fit in just a week, and how nicely you have pasted. But it is a lot of information to take in, so I know that it can be a little overwhelming. So it's great that you all help each other, and yeah, we got this.